Hello everyone, my name is Tujbay Chatur Paramahita. I am from the B class and today I would like to give you the result of the project that has been given by our lecturer. There are 10 questions that I must answer, so we'll start with the first one. The first question is, what is online learning? Explain also asynchronous and synchronous learning. The first question is online learning. Online learning can be described as a learning activity that happens over the internet or by using online tools. For example, when a student in a classroom uses Google in order to find the information that he needed to finish his task, or when a teacher and a student uses live streaming services in order to hold the class over a long distance. Second one is synchronous learning. Asynchronous learning is a learning activity that happens at the same time or can be said to happen in real time. Examples include face-to-face interaction in a classroom or live streaming services between teacher and students. Second one is asynchronous learning. Asynchronous learning is a learning activity that does not happen at the same time or it doesn't happen in real time. Examples include when a teacher posts in tasks that students need to finish in the Schoology, the students can do it within a fixed time frame, within a set deadline, but does not has to respond or answer in real time. Second one is, what are the basic features of an LMS? Please explain. The basic features of LMS is divided into two groups, the asynchronous features and the synchronous features. Asynchronous features include things like syllabuses. Syllabuses can be described as the overall outline of the learning activity. It includes things like objective, requirement, and etc. Second one of the asynchronous feature is the calendar, which can be used in order to check dates, set up schedules for events and courses. Then there is also the teacher's announcement, which is useful for the teacher in order to announce an update to the task for the students or the announcing a new task. There is also courses email, which provide the students and the teacher space for communication. Then there is the lesson, which is categorized by topics, and there is the journals or the blogs that can be used by students in order to post their works and receive criticism and comments from their friends or the teacher. There is also the wiki, which is a shared database that can be used by everyone and edited by members of a team that has a privilege to edit the wiki. The quizzing and puzzling is useful for exercise. Then there is the synchronous features that include things like chat, which allows the students and the teacher a real-time communication, and a discussion forum that allows the teacher and the students to have a discussion regarding the task. Third question is, as an online course teacher, give an example of a good introduction writing for one topic meeting. Please explain. This is an example. Hello class, I hope you are doing fine. I'm here to give you the materials for our next meeting. Please see below. We will be studying about the history and characteristic of Middle English literature. You can use Edward Albert's History of English Literature as reference. I have posted the PDF of the book in our course Schoology folder. I would also like to ask you to bring one example of Middle English literature in our next setting. You do not have to make a printout. Thank you, class. Sincerely, So the first thing that we can see here is that the teacher gives the student a heads up for the next materials that they will have to learn, and he gives the student particular instructions on what to do, which is to study about the characteristic and history of Middle English literature. In order to save the students' time from looking around information on the internet that might be not factual, the students give standard references, which is Edward Albert History of English Literature. Then There is also the task that needs to be done by the student, but the teacher also gives a clear and non-ambiguous non-ambiguous instruction on how to do it. Number 4, why online materials must be attractive. What elements are needed? Please give an example. The reason online materials need to be attractive is because if it's not, it would be hard for the teacher to keep the students' interest for long, and if the students loses their interest, their motivation for study will drop. Once that does happen, the whole learning processes could suffer. So, in order to avoid such disaster, the teacher must keep the online materials attractive for the students so that they might keep their interest alive and that may keep their motivation up longer. Okay, so the elements that are needed for this are, for example, a good visual design. Why do we need this element is because it is much better for a student to have an eye-pleasing materials than to have one that is boring or even ugly. It is, as I will say, examples of this are the colorful are a good font decision, avoiding jagged headlines, and also organized and orderly writing types. Second one is clear learning goals and objective. If we are to give materials for the students, we need to first set up clear learning goals and objective, because if it is not clear, if we leave it ambiguous and confusing, the students might not understand, and the whole learning processes will halt. The students will not be too afraid to do anything to go forward in the learning process because they are too afraid of making any mistakes. And the third one is visual and audio stimuli. We needed visual and audio stimuli because we as a human craves those stimuli. It's nothing much worse for a student to see a whole grab wall of text. They adding pictures, adding videos, adding audios or anything in order to lighten the load of their studies would prove very bountiful for their motivation. And fourth is feedback system. We need to be able to reinforce the students when they did something good and to reinforce negatively when they did something bad. The whole point is to create certain habits, good habits and without bad habits. Number 5, please explain types of online learning activities and provide relevant technology tools for the types. A class discussion is an activity in which the students participate in real time, and it can be used by the teacher in order to observe their learning processes. One of the tools that can be used is the discussion forums where one or two more students engage in the discussion monitored by the teacher. Online journaling is necessary because the student sometimes refuses to let other students see their works, and they only let the teacher, and of course it's not a good thing. And online journaling then can be described as an activity in which the students are taught to grow good habits of letting their works be shown, so that they might get a proper criticism and comment. One of the tools that can be used is the blog. Blogs offer a place for the student to post their works, the result of their works, and can be seen by the students and other students and the teacher, which in turn can give them a comment and critique that they need. Shared knowledge base means that a database that is filled with information that can be used by the students. And one of the tools is the wikis. The wikis is useful because it can be used by all the students and it can be edited by certain members that have been authorized by the teacher. The practice exercises is used in order to gauge the progresses of the students' learning and also to reinforce their skills and apply it. One of the most useful tools is the testing or quizzing section in an LMS, which gives the student a chance to practice what they have learned. A group project is necessary in order for them to learn, cooperate with other students and to create a sense of bonds between each of them. Group works is a tool that can be used for this purpose. Next, Online discussion is one important element in online learning. Sometimes it might not work well. How does a teacher optimize discussion? First, the teacher can try to create a comfortable environment for discussion. Then, they can communicate with the importance of discussion for the students and provide a structure so that the student will be able to move the discussion forward. Monitor the discussion to affect stagnation and give a genuinely good question for the student. They need to grade the discussion because if there is no grade, then there is no incentive for the students to do the discussion. And for the second one, please provide an example of a learning resources that can be used to engage learners in online learning. There are actually a lot of it. There is the images, videos, audio, experience, expert opinion. We needed those because it can be used in order to motivate the student to study harder. This is an example of learning resources that can engage students in online learning. A picture presents a much more interesting things to look at now compared to the wall of text. And as you can see here, this is much easier to understand for them to pay attention to a picture than to see a wall of text. And this distinction here makes it easier for them to understand what is being talked about. Number 8. Kindly give an example of effective assessment in English and teaching and learning. So you can pick one or the integration of more than one language skill. This effective assessment uses the learning objective. Students are able to identify a certain characteristic of the teaching type. It uses the reading test methods, and the technique is quiz. The instrument used is question, text, key answer, and rubric. So basically, the students need to answer the given question, and then it will be recorded. It would be graded by the rubrics. Each correct answer gives 1 point. Wrong answer gives 0 points, and no answer also gives 0 points. A total student's point is then multiplied by 20 in order to reach the total maximum point, such as 100 points. And 5. What are the basic elements to consider when building an online courses? Please explain. Learning outcomes is basically like core in the process of creating courses and programs that needed to build these courses. It basically guarantee that it would be as effective and as rigorous as the on-site equivalent. Online syllabus, meanwhile, serve as the foundation of the courses, in that it has the objective, the requirement. It basically is very important because it serves as the foundation of the courses. The courses outline then act as the schedule. It describes the order of events of the courses, on what day it happens, on what time. And the last one is the assessment. The assessment is how the students are going to be assessed throughout the courses, how far have they progressed in their learning processes, and how they will be graded. The last question is, please give an example of one online lesson in your class for one meeting. In this meeting, there is EFL terminology and criteria of good teacher. The students is basically asked to read relevant references from any sources in order to do their task. There is a task to do and set a pretty clear deadline that needs to be done within that set time frame, and what materials that we will have to learn. And this also tells us that it is also gives us what can be best described as the materials itself. And I think that this is a pretty good online courses. And I think that's all. It almost runs out. I only have a few minutes left, and thank you for watching this. I'm sorry if there is any mistake. I'm very nervous right now. Thank you again. See you later.